Hey, how's everybody doing today? Wow, I have been experiencing some wonderful technical difficulties today. So, and yesterday as well. I wanted to do a basic video for you yesterday and bring this information to you. But here it is today. Thank you for waiting. Today we're talking about accountability, and I talked a little bit about this in my post about, whew, I'll just speak for myself. I always thought of accountability as like you chose an accountability partner, right? Or you joined a fitness group for accountability, and that those people and that group was supposed to keep you on track and focused, right? And so, anybody else get that? You can like chat. There's a chat box, so if you want to chat, feel free to chat. And I thought it was somebody else. I was using somebody else to help me. That's my cat, so just deal with my cat. Um, and so I was using them to help me stay focused. But when we put our power into somebody else's hands, we're releasing the responsibility of us, of ourselves, to meet our goals. So I'm going to read today about accountability, and it's from a book called The 12-Week Year. And when I read this, it just kind of like opened my eyes to how much power I was putting into somebody else and giving somebody else my strength and my responsibility. And then when we do that, that sets us up for failure. I put that in my post. It really sets us up for failure, because then we're allowing ourselves to be in a position where we can blame our not getting our results on somebody else. And I personally do not want to be your guide in having you blame me for not getting results. Really, the power is within you. So here is what accountability is about. Accountability as ownership. So I'm going to put this over here and read to you. So if you want, go ahead and relax. It's probably going to be pretty boring. I'll try to go keep your listening ears on, is all I can say. We can rub our ears so we have better listening ears. Everybody rub your ears. And then let's listen to what accountability really is. Accountability is perhaps the most misunderstood concept in business and in life. Most people, excuse the cat, most people equate it with bad behavior, poor performance, and negative consequences. As an example, when an athlete does something in violation of the league's conduct policy, the commissioner will state publicly that the league will hold this athlete accountable and then issues a fine or suspension. It's no wonder that most people want nothing to do with accountability. Yeah, it seems like a negative thing, right? In the little box, it says, our last free act, after which no further free acts are possible, is to deny that we are free. And that's a quote by Peter Kostenbaum. Kostenbaum, I might get that wrong. But can you see that? Like, if we put accountability in somebody else's hands, we are no longer free. We've given up our free will. And most people who are alive on the planet really want to have freedom. And so we're talking about accountability as being part of your freedom. Let's go on. People often talk about holding others accountable, especially in business situations, but here we're doing it as a support system. Often you'll hear management say things like, we need to do a better job of holding people accountable. I've even heard individuals who truly desire to perform better saying, and here's where we get with the support thing, I just need someone to hold me accountable. And that's what I've heard from some people recently. These types of statements reflect the mistaken notion that accountability is something that can and must be imposed. That's not accountability. That's consequences. In fact, it is impossible to hold someone else accountable. I like the joke, this is all in the book, that you can hold a baby and you can hold a bag of groceries, but you can't hold someone accountable. And I just want to tell you a little story about this. When I was in my 12-step program for food addiction, we had a sponsor, and it was actually named in this program, like your sponsor was somebody who held you accountable. And I mentioned this in my story, if you were attracted to it, and how I said it was punishing. And that's why it was punishing, because the 12-step program, instead of putting accountability into the person's own hands, the program that I was in was saying, here's your sponsor, they're your guide, they're going to hold you accountable for your recovery. And it didn't work. It didn't work, that kind of mentality, because if I slipped and fell off the wagon, I felt bad about myself, right? And then I didn't want to admit it to my sponsor. I didn't want to admit it to my greater group, right? And then I felt punished, and they actually did kind of punish you in a 12-step program. They make you start over from day one if you make a mistake. And that's not what I want to create in this container that we're creating with the Body Love Challenge, because that's unloving to ourselves. So let's go on. I'm going to keep reading this book. Accountability is not consequences, but ownership. It is a character trait, a life stance, a willingness to own your actions and results regardless of the circumstances. In the book, Freedom and Accountability at Work, Applying Philosophical Insight to the Real World, the authors Peter Kostenbaum and Peter Block discuss accountability as follows. So I'm quoting a book, and here's a quote from this other book, okay? But let's go back to that. That was a great line. If you didn't get it, I'm going to repeat that. Accountability is not consequences, it is ownership. It is a character trait, a life stance, a willingness to own your actions and results, regardless of the circumstances. Accountability is complete self-responsibility. You are choosing to stand and make a decision, make a choice that everything that happens in your life, regardless of the circumstance, you are in ownership of. I can go on about that for days, but let's go see what this book keeps saying. This is a quote from this book called Freedom and Accountability at Work. It's a long title, but here we go. We have a small way of thinking about accountability. We think that people want to escape from being accountable. We believe that accountability is something that must be imposed. We have to hold people accountable, and we devise reward and punishment schemes to do this. That's all of the old way of thinking about accountability. That's how most of us think about it. Okay, let's go on to their words. These beliefs are so dominant in our culture that they are difficult to question, yet I'm trying to lower my seat. Where's my little thing? There it is. Yet I'm going down. Yet they are the very beliefs that keep us from experiencing what we long for. The very nature of accountability rests in the understanding that each and every one of us has freedom of choice. That's what all of us are longing for, a freedom of choice. It is this freedom of choice that is the foundation of accountability. Accountability is the realization that you always have choice. That, in fact, There are no have tos in life. Oh my gosh. How many of you have like, oh, I got to do it because I have to? Oh my God. I hear that. I'm changing my words around that to I get to, because I get to means that I'm choosing a choice, right? Have tos are those things we hate to do, but do anyway because we have to. The fact is that there are no have tos. Everything we do in life is a choice. Even in an environment where there are requirements of you, you still have choice. But there is a big difference when you approach something as a choice to versus a have to. Okay, here we go. Listen to this. When something is a have to, it's a burden, right? You've all experienced that. I know you have. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, but I have to. Oh my gosh, I have to pick up the kids. Oh my gosh, I have to feed the dogs. Oh my gosh, there's bigger ones, right? I have to do this project for work, I'm going up again. I don't know. I'm not comfortable. Let me say, when something is a have to, it's a burden. It's cumbersome. And at best, you meet the minimum standards. However, the realization that you ultimately have choice creates a very different scenario. When you choose to do something, you are able to tap your resources and give your best. It is a much more empowering stance. Ultimately, you choose your actions, your results, and your consequences. So let's just take, for example, this 21-day Body Love Challenge. You get to choose how much you participate. If you do the homework in it, that would be your actions. And you get to choose what your results are going to be. Your results, you're going to have a mindset of your results are going to be like mind-blowing, or you're going to take the actions, you're going to take the homework or the challenges that I give you, and you're going to choose that they're like, what's this have to do with body love? And you're gonna choose not to have great results. And you get to choose your consequences. So you're either going to choose to do it, and you're going to choose your consequences. You're going to choose whether you get great results, a great consequence out of this, an amazing transformation from doing this 28-day body challenge, or you're going to choose your consequences are going to be like, oh, this was a total fuck up and failure. Excuse my language. But do you get this? Do you get how this is happening? Now, what this is saying? There's another little box here. Accountability is not consequences, it's ownership. It's just a reminder. All of us have a tendency to look outside of ourselves for things to change and improve. We are waiting for the economy to pick up, for the housing market to turn around, or for our company to come up with a new product. More competitive pricing or better advertising. It all has to do with business, but you get the idea. Like in our own lives, we're waiting for something outside of ourselves to change and improve, like an accountability partner, right? Or a new diet, a new exercise program. All of those things are outside of ourselves. I'm going to start doing a yoga program. All of that's outside of ourselves. It's easy to become a victim to outside circumstances, spending time and energy hoping and imagining what our lives would be like if the world around us were different, believing that these are the keys to improving our results. The truth is, you don't control any of these things. The only things you control are your thinking and your actions. But those are enough if, and that's a big if you are willing to own them. So like a lot of things in my life, it's like following the shiny object. We call it the shiny object syndrome. Like, I'm unhappy with my weight. I'm unhappy with my body muscles. So what do? I scroll the internet and I look for the next thing. I look for the next shiny objects that's going to give me the results that I want. And oh my gosh, and it only cost $47. And that's not a lot to invest. So I'm just going to go ahead and invest $47 on getting this thing. And then I get this thing and it comes into my email and I look at it and it just sits there. I don't do anything about it. I don't take any ownership in having it, but it's just another shiny object that gets put into my email inbox. If I take control of my thoughts and my actions, just like I'm asking you in this 28-day challenge, we're taking control of our thoughts and our actions, right? And we're having a willingness to own them. That's when we're going to get the results that we desire. Going on with the book, don't get the wrong impression that somehow accountability, as we've described it here, is passive. It's quite the contrary. True accountability actively confronts the truth. It confronts with freedom of choice and the consequences of those choices. In this way, accountability is extremely empowering, but you must be willing to confront reality and the truth of your circumstances. How you view accountability and to what degree you embrace it affects everything you do, from your relationships to your ability to execute effectively. When you understand that true accountability is about choice and taking ownership of your choices, everything changes. You move from resistance to empowerment, from limits to possibilities, and from mediocrity to greatness. At the end of the day, the only accountability that truly exists is self-accountability. The only person who can hold you accountable for anything is you. And to be successful, you must develop the mental honesty and courage to own your thinking, actions, and results. So that's what I wanted to share with you about accountability. I am here. I am your guide on this 28-day body love challenge, or with anything if you choose to and hire me. I guess say hire me for any energy healing. But you must take personal ownership of how you show up in the container, how you go through the activity that we're doing together, and how open you are to your results. Otherwise, own your consequences if that doesn't happen. All right, my loves. Thank you for letting me share this really important piece to life and to getting the results that you want in your life and to owning your body love story or any story that you're working on, right? All right. Much love. I'm going to upload this to you, and you have a great day. I thought I had a touch screen. I don't.